Hi, I'm Abby, and we're back to look at some more of your questions about Google Ads. Let's go to Reddit. What would you recommend as a good bid strategy when starting Google Ads for a local business or clinic? So I would probably, when you're first starting out any campaign, I would probably say stay away from bid strategy types like maximize conversions or maximize conversion value, particularly if this is for a local business and you're maybe focusing on more like visits or softer conversion goals that don't necessarily have a value attached to them. You're not going to want to go for anything value-based bidding. The reason that I would say steer clear of automated bid strategies is because you're not necessarily going to have conversion data when you first set up your campaign, and if you don't have conversion data, you're not going to get the best results from having one of those automated bidding strategies. So you can try manual CPC with the enhanced element attached onto it, which means that Google is able to just bid a little bit higher in situations where the data shows that a conversion is more likely to occur, and that gives you a lot of control over exactly how much you want to bid. Or sometimes if you just want to try and get as much data through as possible for the first few weeks before then reverting to a manual strategy, you could try something like max clicks, which will just try get you as much relevant traffic as possible for cheapest cost possible, but it really helps with just getting that traffic through the door, particularly for a new campaign. My account is extremely profitable, but I cannot get it to spend my daily budget. This user has tried raising their budget, but by the sounds of things, they're raising it based on Google's recommendations, but then it's still not managing to spend the full amount of budget. There's a couple of things that I'd look at in this account to see what the reason is for the campaign not spending the budget. Now, this user mentions that they've been upping their bids, just to see if that does help. The areas that I would look at is, so your overall search impression share, so how much of the total search are you currently appearing in? Is it a really high volume, like 70-80% plus? If that is the case, then it may be that based on the search terms that you have in the account or the quality of your feed, there just may not be enough search out there. So you may need to look at expanding out the campaign further or giving Google more data to work with so that it can try and target more people and spend more of your budget. If you're using an automated bidding strategy like maximize conversion value and you have a target ROAS put in place, it may just be that based on your target ROAS that you have in place, Google may not be able to find more users to convert at that rate. So what I would say is potentially you could have a bit of an experiment by like reducing your target ROAS, because that will open you up to more search overall. That same kind of goes for like maximize conversion value with a target CPA. You could try increasing your target CPA or even removing it for a small period of time just to see if it does get your spend up. Does it attract more traffic and do you get more sales overall? And then potentially look at a few more top funnel strategies. So are you employing discovery, display, broad match, video? Trial and error with these things as well can sometimes just help broaden out and get more traffic through the campaign as well. Now let's have a look at Quora to see some more questions. I have a profitable campaign, but I'm nervous about scaling it. What should I do? So this is, we get a lot of business owners who are nervous about losing out on profitability as you try and grow your budget. What I would say is try and scale your budget incrementally. So you don't want to be going and just like trebling your budget within a small space of time, because then you are going to see your profitability dip like by quite a bit. Probably. So we would recommend like maybe a 20% increase. See how your traffic volumes react, see how your click-through rate reacts, and see how your return reacts overall as well. What I would say is when you increase your budget, you should expect to see a short-term drop in your return, just as Google sort of learns to cope with that increase in budget and where it's going to spend that budget. It's a little bit of a learning period for it, and it's not going to give you the best results that you want and not the results that you've been having for that longer period. So this is why we say incrementally, so that when you do increase it, you'll see a little bit of a drop, but it should be recoverable pretty quickly. But don't be afraid if it does drop a little bit, because it's just natural that as you increase your spend, your profitability is going to drop a little bit. It's just making sure that you do it in a way that it sort of steadily recovers and it doesn't have like a massive drop. What, no clap?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, very good.
I have a high click-through rate but very low sales. What am I doing wrong? If you've got a really good click-through rate but very low sales, this kind of links back to one of the earlier questions that we had where your website performance might not be as good as you think it is. So if you're getting a really good click-through rate and your audience targeting seems to be really, really good, I would look at the website. So are your bounce rates really high? Are you getting people, really low average session duration? People just aren't staying on the website. Is it that people are falling off on your checkout pages? So are you not offering enough payment providers? Have you not got guest checkout enabled, which is the kiss of death for getting sales on a website? If you don't have that enabled, get it enabled. Is it the case that you don't offer very competitive shipping? Are a lot of your best-selling products out of stock or low in stock? Are you not very price competitive? Again, there could be lots of different things, but I would say in this instance, if your audience targeting is really, really good and things like your search query report looks really positive, your click-through rate's good and all the signals on the ad side, I would say it's probably an issue with your website rather than an issue with the ads. So this next question, the user has given us some of their shopping campaign stats. Does this mean I suck? I mean, it depends. One question I would have for you is what kind of date range are we looking at? Is it a week? Is it 30 days? Is it a few months? I mean, your click-through rate is below what I would consider like a really great click-through rate, but for a shopping campaign, I just tend to try and get as close to 1% as possible, and anything sort of above 1% I would class as like really, really great. So there's potentially some work that needs doing there. You are getting a whole lot of impressions for your budget, and your average cost per click does seem quite expensive for just a standard shopping campaign. So I'd maybe want to review things like your search query report, because if you're getting so many impressions and such a low click-through rate, I would want to say, okay, are you actually appearing to the right audience, or does there need to be some work there? So I'd definitely review your search query report. Make sure you've got some really generic negative keywords in there, say, like, for example, Amazon, because that's just going to have a ridiculous volume of search, and if you're not on Amazon, it's not relevant. Free, things like that, like just add in some really top-level generic negative keywords that you would just never want to show for. When it comes to your overall search impression share, I'd also have a look at that, because if your search impression share is also really low, again, that could indicate that you're just showing to loads of users that you don't need to be. It definitely doesn't mean that you suck, because you are getting conversions, which is great, and you are looking at the data and your average order value, which is also really good. But I'd say, have a look at your audience targeting and just make sure that that's accurate, and that would be my first step at looking at some improvements. Let's have a look at Facebook for some more questions. Why should I change device bids in a Google Ads campaign? For device bids, there's quite a few reasons why I would recommend reviewing your device bids and maybe making some adjustments to them. The biggest one is essentially in today's day and age, virtually everyone has a mobile device, and 9 times out of 10, people will search for something on their phones whilst they're like on the go, or maybe not at home, or like whatever pops into your head and you'll search it on your phone. So the volume of searches that you get through mobile devices is massive compared to what you get to tablet and computer devices nowadays. But because they're so easily accessible and all of that information is so easily accessible, as I said, you're not always going to be showing up for people on mobile devices when they're at the point of purchase, because it's just so easy to use. Because of that, you can usually get away with reducing your bids on mobile devices and still generating a really high volume of traffic through mobile devices. So just by reducing those bids, you can actually save a bit of your budget, probably actually get more traffic through for just a slightly lower bid, and you can sometimes see that you get more sales through. By reducing the amount that you're spending on things like mobiles as well, you can then end up spending slightly more on desktop devices, and typically on a desktop device, you tend to have a slightly higher conversion rate and sometimes a slightly higher average order value, just because people are still quite, more trusting of desktops than they are necessarily of mobile devices. You're on a home internet connection, you're not like using 4, 5G or whatever. And just for my personal preference, if I'm going to buy something expensive, I don't tend to buy it on my phone, just because, you want to be able to see like in a bit more detail an expensive item, whereas if I'm buying something for a £5, don't mind as much. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about Google or just, digital marketing strategy in general, leave a comment in the box below and you may be featured in one of our next videos.